Amanda Land, Amanda Land, Amanda Land. Good morning. I was sitting here like, what's going on? Why isn't anybody happening? And then I realized I hadn't made the link. How is everybody doing? Happy Monday here in the world. We made it to another Monday, some of us. For those who didn't, we send them love and we honor their spirit. So here's part of the reason why I'm late, and I think we may just start the show at 10:15 on Mondays. So much news happens on Monday morning that it's low-key almost impossible for me to write the show ahead of time. Because literally, it never fails that I will spend all this time writing the show, and then when Monday comes, the whole thing falls to pieces because I haven't been able to, the whole thing falls to pieces because when I actually then wake up on Monday morning, it's just a whole new world. A whole new world. 100,000 things to see. Really. So I think, we should just plan that on Monday mornings, class is going to start at 10:15 because I'm going to need that extra 15, y'all. I'm going to need that extra 15. Now, before we even go forward, let me address Severance season 2 finale because I know Reese was asking me and I never addressed it. So welcome to Views from Amanda Land. This is your news and truths by any joke necessary. Thank you for waking up on the right side of history. Good morning. Good morning. Let me address the season 2 finale because Reese asked me like 3 times and I never got to it. So let me address it. It was so intense. And I gotta tell you, mute it right now. I'm gonna give you all a second to mute it because I need to get something upstairs anyway. Get it, like if you have to walk away or something, do that. Okay. So first of all, the acting was freaking brilliant. Like, bro arguing with himself is insane. Like, I'll let you know when you can unmute. Is insane. And he was, I didn't even consider that to be a thing that could have happened, right? Like, that his innie would be like arguing with him. And I didn't know who was right. And that was the bananas part of it. I didn't know who was right. Like, who actually holds the cards in this situation? Because, I mean, the innie ends up holding the cards, but ultimately, like, where is the moral stance in this? And that's why this concept of severance can't happen, because there is no morality in it. You created a life, and that life has a life. And if you create a life, there's a responsibility to protecting that life. So you can't just decide, okay, here's the thing, Reese, though. So Reese says he felt conflicted. Ultimately, he sides with the outie because if it wasn't for the Audi, the innie wouldn't exist. Yeah, but that's once you create the life, though, you have a responsibility of stewardship. So there's a protecting that has to happen. And you shouldn't be, honestly, you shouldn't, like, and when I say create a life, I mean you put a life in the world. I'm not talking about incubating one in your uterus. Yeah, White Lotus finale was meh. Because nothing happened in the White Lotus finale that I didn't think was going to happen. Like, so we're not even going to get into that. This entire season of White Lotus was just meh, because it was literally just a bunch of privileged white people running around and not really being interesting. But ultimately, the Severance finale really begs the question, because so much of what we're watching, honestly, in the world is this idea of ownership over people's lives. You know, like even the conversation around Israel-Palestine is, well, we lived there before, so we have a right to kill you. I mean, that's the conversation. That's literally the conversation. You know, this idea around being able to terminate pregnancy is, well, you know, we get to decide what you get to do with what's in your body, because we have the power to decide what we get to do within your body, and we can decide whether or not you can be saved. So these conversations are actually, you know, related to this episode, because it's this concept of whether or not there's anything moral in that. And we look at life so callously. And he wanted to save his wife, but he wanted to forsake the innie to do it. And he hadn't even considered how the innie felt. It was just very much I want my cake and eat it too. It was very that. It was very that. So that was like the deep thoughts. But in terms of just like the filming of it, and okay, so I also didn't understand something that my loctician explained to me, that basically someone said you haven't gotten into The Handmaid's Tale, meaning like you haven't watched it, or meaning like you couldn't get into it. So we'll get to that. But so Dylan, on the other hand, right, thought about the innie's life, which who knew that Dylan would have it in him? I gotta watch it again. I gotta watch it again. And you know, just the heli of it all was bugged. And what am I saying? I'm forgetting the best part of the finale. Milchick's dance. It was a literal performance review. Yo! Like, can we give him all the awards? He should have got all the awards for that, because I don't know if that was in his audition. Like, would he have known that? Because you needed a certain type of certain to be able to do that. I said, Milchick! It was a literal performance review. Incredible. Incredible. Okay? Do I think Milchick is going to turn? Absolutely. And it's going to be about him being black. I'll tell you that. It's going to be about him being black. Because when he saw them, when he got them paintings of the black, of the black here, he was like, I don't know about this. And then he asked Lil Mix Chick, You cool with this? And she was like, well, the board says. So it's going to be about some black things. It's going to be about some black things. Right? And JC, I hollered. He was like, oh, those paintings made him say, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. And then, okay, so when Buddy was trying to beat Brianna Tarth, I'm like, Brianna Tarth is not going to let this go down. Brianna Tarth is not letting these goats die, bro. Brianna Tarth is not here for this. And for the record, she will always be Brianna Tarth in everything. I was watching Star Wars this weekend. She was Brianna Tarth in that too. Okay? Like, Brianna Tarth is absolutely gonna beat anybody down whenever you see her in a role. She will be Brianna Tarth for all time. It wasn't him as an older man. It was him as Kier. Woo! The woman helping any Mark integrate is related to Milchick. Is that what you think is gonna happen? Or is that something you know? That I missed? Because they just black. They just black. I don't know if there's anything other than that going down. But I really enjoyed the finale. The involuntary muscle reflex being the thing that killed Drummond. Yikes. See, these are the things that I didn't even catch, but you're so right. Like, that's the thing. And then my loctician was like, the reason why she was going to die, the reason why his wife with Gemma was going to die was because the last phase, Cold Harbor, was about fear of death. And they were testing if she had any type of reaction to her child's death. And so they were testing like the severance. Can you be severed from death? And I was like, oh my God. Like, so yes. Okay. So Brandon McGrath explains it deeper for us. Miss Wong, Gemma, was a metaphor for the U.S. hiring cheap labor in third world countries. Oh, not Gemma. Oh, you think? I didn't think of that. Miss Wong was a metaphor for the U.S. hiring cheap labor in because I never even, honestly, I let it go. I was like, I don't know what this is, and I let it go. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. So tell everybody they can come back. We back. So that's my thoughts, Reese. I said, let me not even start the day without giving Reese the proper response. Okay? You feel like Miss Wong is they kid? No! 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 She's just Asian. Are we just doing this thing where because people are the same racial profile that we think they're related? I went to Taekwondo the other night, and the first time I went, the instructor, like, I was by myself. And so the second time I went, I went there and I saw him look out the door and he got like hype. And I was like, what's up, Master Michael? And he was like, oh, you're going to be happy. You're going to be happy. And so A black woman came in, her and her husband and their daughter. By the way, their daughter immediately walked up to me and hugged me because the children know what's pure. Okay? The children know what's pure. So, Master Michael was like, I was saying that you guys are very similar. I was like, we just black. Master Michael, we just black. He's like, no, because she was a ballet dancer and you were a gymnast. I was like, nah, you just said that because we was just black. Master Michael, quit playing with me. And we have to sew an American flag and a Korean flag on our uniforms. Now, y'all know I wasn't going with that. Y'all know I was not doing that. So yeah, I did not do that. What I did do was sew the American flag upside down. He thought it was a mistake. I was like, no, this was very deliberate. Very deliberate. So, but then I had to kind of like wait. Like, what kind of blacks are these? Right? Because remember, not all blacks is about that. Okay? So I had to kind of wait in the class to see what kind of blacks is these. And they was my kind of blacks. So I was very relieved. Whew. I was like, thank you, Jesus. All right. Thank you, Jesus. So I am sweating in this house, so I have to turn off the heat because I'm dying. This sweater is very effective. I'll be right back. What she was talking about? Okay. It is safe to unmute. Let me actually put a banner up so that people can know it's safe to unmute. Okay. I tried to watch Paradise. Was unimpressed. I felt like it was just more propaganda. And I don't know, I felt like Sterling was overacting. I just be like, y'all really just, I don't know, like as a performer, as an actor, like I just had my limits. I'm not playing no cop, bro. I'm not playing a cop. But at this point, it's like, what else is there to play? All the shows are damn propaganda. So, you know, I tried, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. Wasn't my cup of tea. Presidents and, you know, everything is like literally about either the president or cops in some form or way these days. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got this movie with Viola Davis coming out where she looks a hot, crazy mess in holding an AK and a gun in a red dress in front of a Secret Service vehicle with the president flag and the American flag. I wouldn't be surprised if folks clip this and then everybody gets mad at me for saying that she looks this way, but you know, they never care about the context of what I'm saying anyway. But she to me looks a mess because it is 1000% propaganda. And when we are in a nation that is literally weaponizing the color red for MAGA, and you are there holding an AK and a gun in a red dress, it's like, at what point do we not realize that media is king and that what we are putting out is being used against the people? Like, at what point do we not say, like, hey, I need to have a bigger mind about this? Why don't we why don't we do that? I don't understand. Is it just for the money? Because I feel like that's something that needs to be conscious. And when we're in a nation that is literally in fascist turbo gear, we have to have a higher consciousness than the people at the studios, etc. So I know people be like, oh my God, Amanda is always virtue signaling. And it's not that. It's just that I just want us to have a higher consciousness about the repercussions of our actions and how we are being used, particularly as Black people, how our bodies are literally being used as propaganda, how our likenesses, how our talents, our skills are being used as propaganda to harm us. Like, there's that, we have to have some level of consciousness raising about that and hold each other. I don't even like the words hold each other accountable, but bring it to each other's attention so that we can have the clarity to make those choices. I don't think that is, I don't think that happens enough. I think that we do this thing where it's like, we act like that's like high and mighty, and it's not. It's really just community is what it is. And for those of you who don't know the image I'm talking about, I'm about to show you, because it's just, the movie comes out this week. I will not watch it. It's not getting no stream from me. That's a fact. But I want more from our leaders. I want more from our legislators, and I want more from our people with platforms. I do. I want more consciousness about how we are. Like, what is this? What is this? "20 nations, 19 captives, one hope." What? Come on. This is just, it's, come on. Like, we gotta do better than that. We can't do this. We can't do this. This is too much. You know, like, I just feel like this is just too much. I don't like this. This doesn't make me feel empowered. It doesn't make me feel represented. I don't like it. And you know, okay, let me say this. I never see Black women being the hero, which frustrates me all the time, because fantasy really is a fantasy, because white women are the hero all the time, and I don't never see white women be out here like doing the heroism. So, except for Medea. Medea Benjamin. I want to see a movie about Medea Benjamin. Okay? But I feel like we're always the villain. You know, like, I love Guardians of the Galaxy, but I hate that the like main villain in Guardian of the Galaxy, besides Thanos, who does have a blackness about him, is this guy who's like the god and created Rocket. Like, I don't. No, this is AI. People are like, this doesn't look like her, because this is AI. I believe this to be AI. So yeah, so I just, this was not in my plans to talk about today, but I just felt like this is something I wanted to make a mention of, because I feel like this is, so Captain America is Black, but I don't know much about Captain America, but anytime, okay, here's my thing. Anytime they put Black people in positions aligned with American establishment, it is not to represent the advancement of Black people. It is to represent the immersion of Black people into empire. Let me say that again. Anytime you see Black people in positions of empire, of establishment, it is not to represent Black equality, egalitarianism, none of that. It is to represent Black adaptation, assimilation, immersion into empire. And once that happens, they are not considered a part of the Black community. They are now considered a weapon of empire that can be used in many different forms, like the lady Linda Greer, who raised her hand at the UN every time to veto help and aid and ceasefire in Palestine, or the case of Clarence Thomas, who speaks out against things like affirmative action, against things like the Brown versus Board of Education case. He speaks out against advancements that were absolutely imperative to making any level of attempt at repairing the incredible constraints that have been put on Black people in this nation. So, I don't know, Adrienne. I mean, I don't think they think they're a part of the Black community as much as they think they are above the Black community. So Captain America is considered military propaganda? Okay. I figured. I don't know anything about Captain America. You're going to go see Dream Magazine starring Jonathan Majors. I love him as an actor, and I heard he brought this role to life. Well, you let me know how it go, because I'm not impressed with dude. When he was telling a white woman, I need you to be my Coretta, I was over it. And the fact that everybody just was like, that's fine, is... I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, apparently Anthony Mackie is now Captain America, and, you know. People are like, Amanda's like anybody. I like a lot of folks. It's just a lot of folks I don't like be the ones getting the shine. So, the Encampments documentary is the one to watch. We actually have Grant Minor, who was one of the negotiators of the Columbia encampments, negotiating with the administration about divesting from Israel, and the what's it called? The administration actually expelled him the day before the vote. And Grant Minor will be joining us here on Views from Amandaland next Wednesday to talk about his experience, as well as the Encampments documentary, which is now in theaters. I'm also working on setting up a screening with the Encampments documentary. So look out for that. I will be giving you all more information on that as it comes out. Okay. So let's find out where everybody's at. Hey, Let me get into it. Amanda Lander's here to learn. Drop in and tell me where you're watching from. All right, y'all. Let's turn up. Amanda Lander's here to learn. Hey, drop in and tell me where you're watching from. Let's do it. 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 We got Dayton, Ohio, Tampa, Florida, Stone Mountain, Georgia. We got DFW, Detroit. We got London, Santiago, the BX, Winchester, Virginia. Chicago is always here. Kansas City, Philly, Tampa, Tallahassee for 2 more weeks. Damn. Long Island, New York, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Lithonia, Georgia, Sandia, Pueblo, East Harlem, New York City, Oakland, shout out to the Bay. We got Jeddah, Saudi. Hold up. Jeddah, Saudi Arabia? You're watching from Saudi Arabia? Is this person watching from Saudi Arabia? Reading, UK, Newport Beach, California, Tampa on the move to Pennsylvania, Southgate, California, Philly, Toronto, Canada, Rochester, New York. Hold up. I'm still not over. Saudi Arabia? You watching from Saudi Arabia? Galicia, Spain. Ooh, that's a new one. Shout out to Simi from Galicia, Spain. Upper West Side, New York City, Sacramento. We have Paris, España, Rialto, Cali. Said, missiles, we've done this multiple times. I am the same person from Saudi, and I am a dedicated Amanda Lander. I apologize. I also think it was a hilarious typo that missiles was turned into missiles. Okay. Amanda Landers here to learn. Drop in and tell me where you watching from. I just got checked from Saudi Arabia. Halas. Okay. Halas. Amanda Landers here to learn. Wait. Friends. Masub. Friend is Masub. Masubaha. I gotta get on my Duolingo. I mean, I do Duolingo every day, but I don't spend enough time. Masubtaha. It's something around there. Amanda Landers here to learn. Thank you for dropping in and telling me where you're watching from. He said, Amanda, we do this every day. I'm the same person. Give me my props. So, all good. Did we mark? Okay, we did have Saudi on here, and it was because of you. Okay. It's not enough. Sahib. Okay, wait. Oh, I can read that. Wait, what does that say? It takes me a long time to read. I can read, but I have to sit there and really sound it out. But y'all writing in full Arabic is I'm like, yeah, that's Masub. Okay. Yeah, I got to sit there and read, like, really read. No other land is not available for streaming in the U.S. due to political sensitivities and a lack of mainstream distribution. Unbelievable. So, all right. Let's get into our word of the day. Right? I'll get into that after. Hold on. Our word of the day is events. The word is events. EVINCE. Events. This is from my 11th and 12th grade card file. The word is to display clearly. Events. To display clearly. We know it's a verb because it starts with to. That's what makes it a verb. To display clearly. Events. EVINCE. To display clearly. Can anyone use this in a sentence? It is clear with all of the news. Damn, I can't even use it. Events. To display clearly. Events. I can evince the news. I can evince the news, but that doesn't mean that people get it. It's one thing to evince the news. It's another thing to... Okay, in order to properly evince the news, you need to properly contextualize it. There we go. In order to properly evince the news, you need to properly contextualize it. Pantada says this administration had the gall to evince their plan, and plenty of people ignored Project 2025. Facts on facts on facts. Lay Mabry says, I will evince my hatred of these MAGA fools. Fair enough. Carmen says, listening to DT evinces a visceral response in my body. Yes. Regine Hatter Carmenia says, I wish these stores would evince these sale prices because my pockets. Nice one. Nice one. I think that was maybe your first time being up on the screen too. So shout out to Regine right here, right here. The bad doll says her calm demeanor did not evince the anxiety she felt inside. Nice. Fahad says, you better evince the new stuff and hide that old stuff in the back. What's the old stuff in the back? I don't know what that means, so you're not getting a ding. All right. I made sure my grandma's picture was evinced in my home after she died. And that is why Lando is right here next to Baldwin and Malcolm X. Rest in peace to the baby Lando. I can evince that the Angelica Theater didn't care. I don't think that's the right use of the word. I think the proper use of the word would be the Angelica Theater didn't care about the encampment showing because they didn't evince the movie poster image on the ticket kiosk. All right. The artist's serene expression and selfless acts evince a deep spirituality, suggesting a profound connection to something beyond the material world. Ooh, good one, Dana Cooper. And we're going to end it on John C., who says, Viola Davis is showing evinced simulation to the empire. There you have it. That's our word of the day. Yay, yay, yay. That's our word of the day. How you doing, Jordy? I put a bench over here, and so now Jordy has like two places that he can lay down. So sometimes he'll be on he'll be on his little cushion looking out at the road, but then now he be on the bench. You like it? Good. It's all for you. Everything here is for you and the cats. I'm just a guest. I'm just a guest. Okay? I'm just a guest. All right. Let's get into our Blackurate news. Why don't we?
Blackurate news. Politics. Blackurate news. Pop. Culture. Blackurate news. Sports. Blackurate news. Justice.
All right. Well, this weekend was all about protests, not just here, but worldwide. There were protests all over for a number of reasons. So we're going to talk about the various protests that have been taking place all over the world. I think it's really important that we continue to acknowledge that there are protests happening all over the world and all the time, and then at different levels, right? At different levels. So first, let's start off with the U.S. It was a big weekend for protests. Look at how people came out in great numbers. Boston, New York, Chicago, Portland, San Francisco, San Diego, Idaho, Utah, Oakland. These were all protests that were related to Trump and Musk. You had a lot of people out there who were saying, this is too much. We have to protect our Social Security. It was called the hands-off protests. So they were saying like hands off our Social Security, hands off our bodies, hands off our benefits, hands off our jobs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So lots of people in the streets and really just making their voices heard and saying, we're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. And Reese, that's a great point. Now that it's getting warmer, people are definitely going to be outside protesting. What's interesting, though, is that there were no National Guard, none of that. And I saw a lot of people on the internets going back and forth about like whether Black people should be there or not. I am a person who believes that at this point in where we are, Black people, I don't think we need to be out there protesting for this. I mean, some people would say otherwise, but I don't. And here we have Pantada saying that she was hearing that the protests were problematic and how they collaborated with police and refused to collab with anti-Trump organizations. I mean, I don't know how the two can work in the same space, but I just feel like there were people who were like, Black people need to be out here, who weren't Black. And I'm just like, shut up. But ultimately, at the present time, I'm like, get out there, whites. Get on out there. Especially if you're in a FAFO situation. Get on out there. I don't feel like there's many other ways for us to be in protest. And for what it's worth, there's a lot of work that Black folks need to do in terms of educating our own community on even what we really need to protest. You know, I mean, within what is considered the Black community, we have enough dissension that we don't even y'all don't even know. A lot of Black folks don't even know what we're really protesting. So the Democrats are, per usual, keeping things in line. And so I feel like a lot of this was really Democrat promoted. In which case, it's still, going along with the status quo. Right? And that to me says everything. I do believe, though, that there were a lot of folks who were out there and maybe didn't know that, but were still there in good conscience because they feel very frustrated about what's going on. I just want to remind people, though, that the Democrats supported Trump's immigration policies. Like, they were also pushing that out there. So when we talk about protests, it's something that I think is important, is that it's not enough to just be like, look at how many people out there if you don't know why they're out there. So like, these people were out there because they're mad at MAGA and Musk. Like, they didn't have an issue with deportations. They don't have an issue with Palestine. Like, they're out there because America continues to be deeply ingrained in capitalism and doesn't see that it is actually the thing that's harming them. And so, I wouldn't be surprised if this was really about the Dems. And when Nancy Pelosi is the one is showing up to speak, you're like, Nancy Pelosi, who's made millions off of insider trading? Like, that's what it is. So they're really protesting because they're like, you're affecting our money. It's not about morals. Some people, I'm sure, are there because of that. Some people. But the greater context of this hands-off, organized protests all over the nation is about addressing the attacks and subsequent following of attack on Social Security. So I don't believe necessarily that this is about what we're about here in Views from Amandaland. In general, again, for the 11th time, let me say, I'm sure that there were people there with, the same, with the same mindset, but as us, but I don't think that's like the overarching, that wasn't the overarching like motive. There you go. Thank you, Jonathan. Whew, struggles. Adrian says she's still digesting what Miss Seal said earlier, that some Black people feel above the Black community. And I do think I know a few of those people. They wouldn't put it that way, but they do. Yes, it's like Black conservatives, for the most part, exist in this bubble of, well, if I can do it, why can't you? So therefore, I am of a higher class of Black people because I figured out a way and you didn't. And there's no acknowledgement of the fact that there are impediments that people can get around, but that not everybody can get around. And those impediments are like, so the reason that I've been a successful Black person has nothing to do with me being Black. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, me being smart had nothing to do with like my race. I just got lucky that I was born with a brain that functions the way it did, and that allowed me to be able to see the moves that I need to make to get through the obstacles. Like, my talent is, I believe, attributed to my, my DNA, but in the world, like, it wasn't because, oh, she's a talented Black person that she made it. It was because I was able to wield my talents to create room. I have aligned myself with Black advocacy, and I have committed my work to the work of amplifying Black stories and Black truths. However, it wasn't like I was picked out of because I'm Black. And so when they create this mythical narrative that affirmative action and DEI is making it about picking people because they're Black, that is 100% false. It's just about saying, we'll allow you to apply even though you're Black. And Adrian, we all know Black people like this. Yes, it's not just you. We all know Black people that definitely feel like they are above the Black community, or that they're like a higher level. Isn't that kind of like what Jack and Jill is, or no? I don't know. So that went down this weekend. What also went down this weekend is a really big protest in DC that was about Palestine.
I remember the image of Ismail al-Ghul when he was beheaded by an American bomb. And the only thing that stayed was this.
Shout out to everybody who was out there. There was just a huge turnout. And of course, the media is not really giving any big coverage to this, but it was happening and it was there. And Kennedy, thank you for tapping in. Kennedy says she was there and it was truly beautiful. What was the police presence like? What was the police presence like? I mean, was it OD? Were they being violent? Please let me know. Because I was not there. And yes, Isabel, Corny Booker. You get an applause for that. Isabel may have won the chat today, y'all. Isabel may have won the chat. Corny Booker could have just read that list of names instead of the BS he was doing. Agreed. But Polly C says a lot of, let's face it, Zem-led protests in the last 25 years have been photo ops for folks who don't know how to organize their own communities. Facts on facts on facts on facts. Sweatshirt Shouty said, I remember Jack and Jill didn't let my friend in because her mom is dark skinned. You see what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? Corny Booker. Just really good stuff. Really good stuff. So I guess a lot of people weren't there because no one is giving me my answer on what the police presence was like there. But I really feel like, again, what I love is just to see the continued protesting that is happening specifically for the end of the genocide in Palestine, because it continues to amplify the conversation, which also continues to remind folks that the conversation, and the conflagration of Israel as a moral stance, as a moral nation, is not accurate. And when you're seeing Joe Rogan get it, like multiple clips of Joe Rogan being like, this is not okay. It's like, everyone, come on. This is really, really scary to me, that this continues to go on and so many folks are not putting the pieces together about why this has to be everyone's conversation. Continuing along with the protest conversation, there are protests happening in Rafah. So there are protests going down in Egypt on the other side of the Rafah border, because they are continuing to not allow aid through to Palestinians. It's been 2 months now where aid has not been allowed through to Palestinians. Of course, famine, of course, disease is on the rise. And we already knew that because it was already there in the first place. And this continues while nobody stops it. Like, there's just no force being made, no efforts on a grand scale being made to actually correct what's taking place. The people of Palestine are just there floundering in Gaza, while politicians the globe is only so big, y'all. It's only so big. And yet this just is continuing to go on. It's really just, it's really unbelievable that this is the world that we're in. But it's always been the world we're in. And I'll talk about that in my PSA. I do feel, though, it is really, I'm really happy to see the Egyptians, though, at the border saying this is not okay. Like, we have to challenge this. See, I didn't even know about this. There were journalists. No, he's back. But it's very scary to me that this is still taking place, and people are literally making videos saying, I don't think I'm going to survive this time. There is carpet bombing happening all day, all night. And then you have people saying things like, well, we got to worry about our own issues over here. So sometimes I feel like, well, what are we on here talking about? What are we really like? What are we protesting for? And when I was at the land back protest, I spoke shortly, but what I spoke about was connectivity and the importance of understanding the connectivity of us. I mean, I think at the root of it all is that we are the roots. And so we can't really change this world unless we change how we think about the world. And when people say we got to worry about what's going on here, Palestine is going on here. Palestine is going on here. Netanyahu is in the United States right now. He is having, meetings. He is meeting with the president of the United States today. They are deporting people for talking about Palestine. Hello? And it's just unacceptable. Lori says it is madness like never before. I've been protesting with Palestine, with the PLO since 1979. Wow. Thank you, Lori. And it's never been this bad where no one seems to care. I just feel like folks are so caught in this weird, they're just caught in their main character syndrome. That's the most basic way I can say it. Ryan points out, I wish Egyptians were coming through for Sudanese people when they were fleeing North Sudan instead of making it more difficult for them to enter the country. Was that the Egyptian people or was that the Egyptian government? Just curious to know the difference. Because there is a difference. Because the Egyptian government is not protesting. They're not saying open the border. They'll like say it, but they don't do anything about it. So carpet bombing, Sarah, is when they literally just bomb an entire swath of land over, it's like they just go boom, boom. Like, so you know how a plane will just drop a bomb and keep it going? Instead, they drop a series of bombs over a span of land. Think of it like a carpet. They also call it mowing the lawn because they are abhorrent. Interesting. A lot of my Egyptian classmates talk about Palestinians the way MAGA talks about Mexicans. Ugh, that's terrible. The Egyptian government is trash. I'm guessing they orchestrate even the protests to keep the status quo. So here we are. And let me give you something positive. I always try my best to give you something positive. Korea! So South Korea's constitutional court unanimously upheld the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol. This is what led folks to coming into the streets. Let me let you hear some Korean.
많은 사람들 국민이 승리한 것 같습니다.
아까는 정말 파면 선고 나왔을 때는 어지러울 정도로 너무 기뻤고요. 내가 움직이지 않으면 결국 바뀌지 않는 게 민주주의 사회로 생각해서 계속해서 나와서 목소리를 내게 되었습니다. 우리나라는 민주주의 국가고요. 민주공화정이고 왕조 국가가 아닙니다. 윤석열이라는 대통령 한 사람.
So let me just try and count to 10 in Korean because I learned this in Taekwondo. I know y'all are going to be like, your pronunciation is wrong. I'm just learning. Hana. Damn, I forgot. I think it's Hana, Yana, Set, Net, Tasa, Yasa, Irgo, Yader, Aho, Yar, Irko, Yater, Aho, no, Irgo, wait, Yana, Dul. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay, Hana, Dul, Set, Net, Tasa, Yasa, Irgo, Yader. I hope. Yar. 감사합니다. 감사합니다. So the South Korean people, when their president called martial law for like 2.2 seconds, they was like, oh, hell no. And they ran up in them streets. Okay. They ran up in them streets. They ran up in them streets and said, we not here for you. We're not having this. And they sat. And it was cold, and they banded together, and they said, this is not going to happen. And even their, I want some South Korean film recommendations. I am ready. And even their elected officials was about it. Okay. They was about it. So this was a really encouraging thing to see the South Korean people get what they fought for, and in a rapid amount of time, right? In a rapid amount of time. Like, it wasn't like months and months and months and months. They got in them streets in 2.2 seconds, okay? Streets. And here we are in 6 months? And they got Buddy out of there. They got someone else in there. Then they voted to impeach him, and now it was in its final phase, and boom. But Polly points out something very important. These people were trained, they were disciplined, they were unified, and they did what needed to be done. This happens at home. This happens at school. Okay? That's what it is. And we in the United States are very, very behind. Okay? Very, very behind. Yure Moon, who is Korean, says they have an incredibly high literacy rate. It's a huge contributing factor to their critical thinking skills and rallying skills. There's a reason why our Department of Education is being dismantled. Absolutely. Absolutely. So when we are thinking about what are ways that we can be of service, what are ways that we can be of resistance, I am not putting my body out there for America right now. However, I come on here and I use this digital platform to educate. That is my method of resistance. I use my art to educate. That is my method of resistance. It has been made abundantly clear that education is something that they consider to be very dangerous. And by the way, when I see the whole videos of like, this is what Black people are doing right now, and they're doing what line dances, I'm like, not this Black lady. That's not what I'm doing. Okay. Kishan adds, South Korea mandates a new presidential election within 60 days of the president's removal. Hopefully they are able to get the right one in. All right. Am I buying into the hype that it's necessary to go out and buy essential items before tariffs? That's not the hype I'm buying into. But I did read Parable of the Sower, and I absolutely have a to-go pack. So there's that. Leah Mabry says, I'm providing my daughter's school with cleaning supplies and masks to keep kids healthy. We can all pick a thing. Yes. Jessica says, the U.S. has been such a deeply unserious place for so long that I think we have a long road ahead of us to get people here familiar with organized resistance. We do. We absolutely do. We absolutely do. Yeah, no boots on the ground for me. Not literally and not figuratively. I'm not doing the dance, and I was at a rally for Palestine. South Korean film recommendations. Lady Vengeance, Train to Busan, The Wailing, and Thirst. All right, let me take a picture, screenshot that so I can get busy. All right, 감사합니다. But again, listen, Black folks who are on here, there's always going to be different sects, SECTS, within every group. So, those Black folks, like, do what y'all doing. I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing and continue to bring the energy towards me that is of hope, that is of curiosity, and that is of integrity. So I'm gonna be a lightning rod for that. And I will I will stay in my place of being a lightning rod for that. When people are like, oh, Amanda needs to pick a lane. That's my lane. What is Train to Busan about? Because y'all is really on about Train to Busan. Let me Google real quick. Train to Busan, 2016 film. Train to Busan. Oh, it's a zombie situation. Okay. Zombie situation. Okay, Train to Busan. I'm gonna check it out. I don't know. I only have so much gore that I can manage. But people are with it, so I'm gonna check it out. Isabel says, I have too many of them dancing folks in my fam. They're not about the movement unless it's on the dance floor. Shamika said, I'm not going out to protest. I'm staying in to try to educate myself and figure out what movements to get behind. ACLs is one of them. It's me reading one of them and knowing exactly what that meant. One of them. One of them. Thank you, Shamika. I am honored. What does what phrase mean? Boots on the ground or hamsamida? Because one of them is hilarious. Seeing it written was hilarious. One of them. Parasite was not my jazz. Like, I get it, but it wasn't my jazz. But I get it. Like John Coltrane, before his I'm just playing notes era, was my jazz. Like John Coltrane, Giant Steps, like John Coltrane, Favorite Things, that was my jazz. But then him and Alice, I don't know, they wasn't doing drugs, but they was just on some other thing. And him and his wife started playing a different kind of jazz. And it went from da-na-na-na-na to that wasn't my kind of jazz. So, I really want to know what the phrase is that Shamika didn't know. Oh, 감사합니다. Oh, that means thank you in Korean. 감사합니다. But I love the spelling. Y'all, Shamika. I love the effort of the spelling. Okay? Because I'm going to put it on the screen. 감사합니다. Yeah. The way I rock with y'all is the long way. Okay? That's the way I rock with y'all. The long way. Okay? The long way. So those are the protests that went on. We ask why protests, and I had to get reminded this weekend that ultimately protest is about raising consciousness and disruption. And that regardless of the necessity for more of that, it is necessary in general that continue to take place. I think there's also something, if I'm going to be in my most optimistic, right? If I'm going to be in my most optimistic, it's about seeing people even physically get in the street and having that now in their lexicon of capability. Even if they're not mentally there yet, physically, they have been there. And yes, Leah, I agree that this is another part, building community. Now, again, people are building communities sometimes based on foundational ideologies that are not as intersectional and integrated as I would like. But we got to start somewhere, knowing that this country is very, 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 very behind. So Pantara said that she has an Arabic friend who will spell Arabic words like using English words to help her understand it. And I wasn't really sure what you meant. And now seeing it on the screen, Assalamu alaikum as Aslami Bacon is hilarious to me. Hilarious. If you are looking for some more Palestinian resistance news, follow Electronic Intifada, Queen of Palestine, and there's a whole list that I can put together. So this is where Policy Maker, thank you. First of all, hilarious that your name is Policy Maker. But this is where I struggle. And this is what I had said back to my friend. Polly says, it's hard because we have to have patience, but we also have to have urgency. Like if you are taking selfies at the protest, you lost the plot. Okay, so I'm not going to lie to you. I definitely take selfies at protests. So I don't know that I've lost the plot. I, though, do agree that we don't have urgency. And Sarah said she felt like Sarah, tell us more. What protest did you attend? She said the protest that she attended wasn't disrupting anything, which bothered me. I believe that a lot of these hands-off protests were just like pep rallies, so to speak. Pep rallies to keep the morale up, but not really cause disruption. We're all going to go to this park at this time with our signs, and our signs are going to be, we're going to try and outdo each other with the funniest signs. We're going to cheer, right? Like I remember my pep rallies in high school. Seniors, DP, DP, DP. DP. By the way, they still do that cheer at the pep rallies at Dr. Phillips High School. DP. DP. And Miss Latia, once again on the same page as me, said because it was on Saturday. If you're having the rally on the convenient, you understand what I'm saying? Like it was just very organized. I wouldn't have been surprised if they had a dunking booth, and like games. All of it was very like, look at us. Choreography and merriment. Yes, Isabel. Isabel, you on the screen a lot today. You see you on the screen a lot. Isabel on the chat today, y'all. Isabel on the chat. We're not even done with the show. Isabel on the chat today. I would not have been surprised. Levon, if they really had like a ring toss. Because that's what so it's like, I'm glad to see people out. Okay? I'm glad to see people out. So I don't want to take that away. I'm glad to see people out. Someone said, I miss Amanda's big fro. You know who doesn't miss Amanda's big fro? Amanda. Amanda doesn't miss Amanda's big fro. Because Amanda's big fro required effort. We would have to start the show at 11 if I still had my fro. I don't have to do my hair, y'all. I don't think people really understand. I don't have to do my hair. Yes, Shamika, I know. I got to check I saw, and I was like, oh my God, but I didn't have time to look through it. So I'm going to check it. I also got to watch a video from Miss Latia. Y'all giving me homework, but I'm going to get to it. Like, I'm surprised there wasn't a bouncy cancel. Now, I would not mind stuff like that if it was in front of somebody's house. Okay? And I did see this, that in Philly, they had permits and didn't allow vendors to show up. Sorry, in LA. And they didn't allow vendors to show up. And Sarah was in Philly. And so, okay, she said a pep rally is the perfect description. I don't think it was a waste of time. Of course, it's good for people to be mobilizing, but the speeches were all about upholding the system. Yeah. So, Rayan, I don't understand. People love to do their hair. I'm not them. I'm not them. And I get length and I get framing of my face with no effort. I'm rocking these, and I get cultural connectivity. Oh, I'm rocking the locks. I'm rocking the locks. Casey said on a day off, no politicians were working. Nothing was disruptive. Same out here in Texas. They had food trucks. Okay. And before I was literally about to say not to be a Debbie Downer. And then Hamid comes through with not to be a downer. But a fight against oppressive regimes rarely have the vigor of true disruption unless those that are oppressed are leading them. It's hard to tap in to what's that. Yeah. Yeah. So pull up and protest, bring all the things, the bounce house, food trucks, a stage, a marching band, all the things. But like do that at a place where you're being disruptive. Like do that in front of Blinken House. You know what I'm saying? Like do that in front of the courthouse. That to me is that. Again, glad people went out, but they definitely, and we're going to end the convo on this. Sweatshirt Shardy said they're trying to turn the protests into Coachella. Yes, but that's America. That is the United States. Everything is about convenience and how do we make it make sense for us? Chanel said it's giving block party. So, because the Palestine protests don't be like that. The Palestine protests are very focused and very adherent to like love, but it's very about we know what we're here for and we know the dangers of being here for this. We know this. And we stand here in protest. So Carmen brings us home and says, hopefully the food trucks were owned by undocumented people. Touche. Touche. Let's do it. Let's get into our 60-second headlines. Yo. Amanda Land. 60-second headline. Gonna run down some news right quick.
Run it down, mama. Put us on.
So, at the end of the week last week, there was a Trump SCOTUS ruling that has basically reversed $600 billion that, is it billion? No, $600 million that was supposed to be allocated towards special needs education and is now no longer being applied because SCOTUS allowed it to be. Now, this was already allocated by Congress, and SCOTUS allowed it to be reversed because within the language, it said that this will very much improve the lives and the education capabilities of those in low-income communities that have a large number of Black and brown children. And so because of their whole DEI initiative, anti-DEI initiative, they said, okay, cool. We'll allow you to reverse this. And when I see stuff like this is when I wonder, like, okay, so if you're a Black conservative, how are you okay with that? Explain how that becomes okay. That simply because it would improve the education resources for a large amount of Black and brown children, that it is allowed to be reversed. Now, this, by the way, also affects rural communities because the rural communities are also having a lot of difficulty with getting funding for schools. So I'm like, you're also harming your own people who consider themselves conservatives. And this is the type of real just meanness. The point is the pain. The point is the pain. And I'm just like, so they're canceling this money. SCOTUS issued a 4-5 decision allowing the Trump administration to proceed with canceling over $600 million in federal teacher training grants designed to address teacher shortages and lack of diversity. Fahad asks a great question. Fahad asks, do you think they're doing this? Oh, thank you, Kishan, for that. Fahad asks, do you think they're doing this to replace everything with AI education and that way they can control people? That doesn't sound far-fetched by any means. That sounds actually right up their alley. And you know, as Mo brings to our attention, that there is no universal health care in this nation because once it was when it was acknowledged that this would improve the lives of Black people, they were like, well, then if Black people gonna have it, everybody can't have it. And that's Leah. I ask my accountant this every time. Are we all going to keep paying federal taxes? Because we just pay for war now. That's all my taxes are. They're paying for war. So what? Libby Wiskowski says center the disability and immunocompromised communities because accessibility helps everyone, and that's the threat. Well, let me tell you, they really don't want to help the disability and immunocompromised communities. They don't care. They don't care. Like, it really is. We're being ruled by the worst humans. That it's to the point where I don't even know that these people are human because they don't possess any semblance of empathy for other beings. Beings are disposable in pursuit of their goal of power, which is incredibly scary. And their goal of power is power over what? You know, power over what? Now, the Department of Education, which is now run by a former wrestler, justified the cancellations of the millions, Kishan adds to this, by stating that the grants funded programs promoting DEI initiatives, which the administration contends are discriminatory. And the truth about it is that it is discriminatory to not actively seek teachers that serve communities that are uniquely based. That is discriminatory. You're literally discriminating against these communities. Meanwhile, there are Hasidic communities that are thriving and that are able to actually control school board money that they don't even access because they don't send their children to public schools. I mean, it's deeply disturbing, which is why when we're thinking about resistance, it ends up being such a layered conversation, having so many inroads because they're affecting and stopping so many things that there are so many ways that are needed to resist. So many ways. And they're just liars. You know, like that's the other part of it. They're just liars. So they're changing the narrative all the time. They're making up stuff. They're saying things that are just simply not the facts. And we don't have enough people that are bigging up the truth. One of the reasons why I get so frustrated at the efforts that people who I literally know have against me is because whether you like me or not, I upload the truth. That should be the most paramount effort that we're doing these days, because we know that the effort of creating fascism and dictatorial governments and regimes rests on disinformation. It relies on disinformation. I mean, look at this. So, what just happened? Why didn't that happen? Why didn't that upload? So this guy, Marco Rubio, he meets with the president. Was it the president? Let me remove this so I can see what it says. He meets with the president of the foreign minister of Denmark. Okay. He meets with the foreign minister of Denmark. His name is Minister Rasmussen. Now, we know Denmark is, that Greenland is a colony of Denmark, and that, this guy Trump has been constantly saying, we're going to take over Denmark, we're going to take over Greenland. Marco Rubio posts on his Twitter, met with Danish Foreign Minister Rasmussen in Brussels today to talk about the defense priorities shared by our two nations. We discussed the importance of increasing burden sharing within NATO and addressing threats to the alliance. Let's see what the Danish foreign minister said about the meeting. Honest and direct meeting with Secretary Rubio yesterday, I made it crystal clear that claims and statements about annexing Greenland are not only unacceptable and disrespectful, they amount to a violation of international law. Like, it's the distortion of fact is so unbelievable that literally just addressing the truth is an act of resistance at this point. Fatima says, I do not understand. Not paying taxes can get you in trouble legally, but they can't go after everybody at the same time. So I wonder if that's going to be a last resort. I just find it all incredibly disheartening. And let's talk about Kilmar. So Kilmar Garcia has now become a household name because Kilmar Garcia was taken to El Salvador and put in a prison. And these folks came on record and said, yeah, our bad. That was an error. It was an administrative error. And then said, but we can't do nothing about it. Excuse me? So U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnes called the government's decision to send 20-year-old Kilmar a grievous error. She went on to say, as defendants acknowledge, they had no legal authority to arrest him, no justification to detain him, and no grounds to send him to El Salvador, let alone deliver him into one of the most dangerous prisons in the Western Hemisphere. This is in her court document that she filed. She adds, they do indeed cling to the stunning proposition that they can forcibly remove any person, migrant and U.S. citizen alike, to prisons outside the United States, and then baldly assert, which, by the way, I always thought it was boldly assert, but the term is actually baldly, and then baldly assert they have no way to effectuate return. Can anyone put in effectuate? What does effectuate mean? Let's look that word up. Effectuate. What's the definition of effectuate? And then baldly assert they have no way to effectuate return because they are no longer the custodian and the court thus lacks jurisdiction. She goes on to say, this needs to be rectified by 11:59 p.m. on Monday. And the thing about it is that they're painting this picture, okay, that they can't get him back because he's in El Salvador. By the way, El Salvador is right there. So that's not true. Second, this concept is blown out the water when you have Kristi Noem at the prison. Kristi Noem was literally at the prison. Hey, Rolando. So if she can go to the prison, why she can't come back with homeboy? What's the problem? The word is, okay, so the definition of effectuate is put into effect or operate. To put into effect or operate. To cause the effect of, put into force or operation. Now, let me tell you a phrase that I'm getting a little bit annoyed with hearing, and I'll tell you why. When these people do something and then y'all go, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Everything they do is illegal. Everything they're doing is illegal. Legality becomes a matter of irrelevance at this point. Because he wasn't supposed to, the whole plane, not only was he not supposed to be on the plane, the whole plane wasn't supposed to go. The whole plane was not supposed to leave. And they said, we're going to do it. And the judge who said the plane isn't supposed to leave, they're trying to impeach now. And now this judge, Zinnis, they're saying, oh, she's actually trying to overpower the president. The judges of the district, federal, and Supreme Court are supposed to carry forth the law of the Constitution. The president is not the Constitution. I repeat, the president is not the Constitution. Now, Carmen says cruelty is the point to refusing to bring him back. I will add to that. Here's why they don't want to bring him back. They don't want to bring him back because none of those people were checked properly on how they got down there. If they bring him back, they open a floodgate that if you get legal representation, that the law will be on your side. You know why? Because the law is actually on their side. They did not get habeas corpus. They did not get the right to due process, which they had a right to on the United States soil. If the Constitution that we have right now were actually addressed, that would be the case. They're not going to bring him back because if they do, it's going to turn up. Everything that they're doing is illegal based on the United States Constitution, based on state constitutions. They are not allowed to do this. They're not supposed to be able to do this. You're literally just throwing people into another prison in another country. And let me give you some tea about that. So, what I heard down the line is that this whole thing between Trump and Bukele, the president of El Salvador, is because Bukele was trying to get elected. Bukele was trying to get elected, and the gangs of El Salvador, MS-13 and them, they was running the show. Word has it that Bukele squatted up with them and was like, check it. I'm going to give y'all bread if you get people to vote for me. That's called corruption. Okay? So this happens. Bukele gets elected. One of the guys in the video that they put out was one of the top leaders of the MS-13. The word on the streets is that this is all about Bukele flipping on the gangs and saying, all right, I'm going to incarcerate you so that you can't say nothing about how I got in here. Yeah. And so all of this is really about that. Because they're going to tell all. And if they had been put in front of a judge, they would be like, well, this is what's really going on. This man, Kilmar, was literally given asylum to escape the gangs of El Salvador. The jurisdiction is that he should not be returned to El Salvador. This story goes on to another level. Erez Ravini argued the government's case. He's a lawyer for the DOJ. He was placed on leave based on his performance in front of Judge Eileen Zinnes. Is it Pauline? Is it Eileen? I got the name wrong. What's her name again, y'all? Let me give her a proper name. Paula. He's been placed on leave. Why? Because he says when he was asked, why was this man sent back? He said, our only arguments are jurisdictional. He should not have been sent to El Salvador. So some might say, well, Amanda, but I mean, he's still saying he could have been kicked out the country. Yes, but what he showed there was even an inch that the court was right. He gave an inch. He gave an inch to the court saying that there is more that basically like, you're right. He should not have been sent to El Salvador. That inch was noted by Attorney General Pam Bondi. Come up with a name for her, Isabel. Then he was asked, why couldn't the U.S. simply ask for his return? His response, the first thing I did when I got this case on my desk is ask my clients the same question. His clients are the United States. He is a lawyer for the United States, for the Department of Justice, okay? Adding that he did not get a direct answer. This, again, was seen by his boss, Attorney General Pam Bondi, Sham Bondi. Whoever said it, I respect it. Sham Bondi. Sham Bondi. There you go, Jessica. So Sham Bondi says, at my direction, every Department of Justice attorney is required to zealously advocate on behalf of the United States. Any attorney who fails to abide by this direction will face consequences. She keeps going on about zealousness. She keeps going on about being zealously. And what that means is literally that you have to be willing to lie for the United States. You have to be willing to carry forth the crimes of the United States. So this is where we are with Kilmar. This also carries forth conversations around Mahmoud Khalil, the other young woman, Orzi, I think her name is. I'm not good with names. So they're fighting right now to keep hold of this because the only way around this is to 100% say the law and the court doesn't matter. And once they break that dam, we're in a whole new level of the shitter. Okay? We're in a whole new level because Ozturk, Ramezia Ozturk, thank you. Because once that happens and they just are completely defiant of the law, no one has a leg to stand on. No one. And that is where we are. We are in fascism where this is even a conversation. And when people are acting as if these things that are happening to other people are not relative to them, they are stupid. They're stupid. Now, again, we don't have a long time to see how this is going to play out because she literally said, this needs to be clarified and this man needs to be on his way back by the end of the night, or they will have to enact the law. Beauty says, get your self-defense classes up. Why do you think I'm taking Taekwondo? We did nunchucks in Taekwondo. Okay, I wasn't going to say it, Misfit Metal Smith, but yes. Yes, Kilmar is a cutie patootie. Look at his little cheeks. Kilmar cute. You know, here at the Amanda Seales, show, I have so many shows, I be forgetting the names of my show. You know, here at Views from Amanda Land, we're always going to shout out fineness. Always. Don't get me started on Ibrahim Traore. All right. One of the things that greatly irritates me about this country is that it regularly puts ugly white men in power. I'm just like, they not even fine. Like, I could understand if this was a fine man and you was just caught up in the rapture. Blah, 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 blah. I could see that. What does him having a girl have to do with acknowledging that he fine? Yeah, his girl been all over the news. Ain't nobody here trying to. What do you think we're doing? You think we trying to wife Kilmar Garcia from the jail? We just acknowledging the fineness, aesthetics, okay? Because Ibrahim Traore, by the way, just literally beat another assassination attempt. Patricia, just say the facts. We have eyes, though. He just beat another assassination attempt. Ibrahim Traore is the leader of Burkina Faso right now. Now, I will say he did say something a little funny style the other day that I was like, I ain't like that. I ain't like the way that sound, Ibrahim. I ain't like the way that sound. Where he was basically like, this is not a democracy. He was like, right now, we are in a revolution. This is not a democracy. Like, everybody don't got to say. Everybody don't got something that everybody don't got to say. And he was like, right now, you know, we in the middle of a revolution. So we handling things. So that's really a coup. That's what they in. They not in a democracy right now. They in a coup. I mean, that's how he got in power. He's in a coup. Somebody said that Ibrahim is not there. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to put up on the screen. Hold on. Why isn't Ibrahim your guy, Cecilia Charles? Why isn't Ibrahim your guy? Because of what I just said? Now, you know, that's a fine man right there. That's a fine man. It's just what it is. He did say that for his haters. But but it's still like, he said it though. He did say it though. So let's talk about his posture is bonkers. You know, he's fine. He's fine. Like, there's nothing else. He's fine. Like, I don't know. It's not like, sometimes fineness is not arguable. Okay? Sometimes fineness is not arguable. Now, Miss Latia said that Inch put him in a pinch. He should have known better. He should have called out that week. That wasn't going to work out for him, no way. I don't know what you're talking about, but the way you worded it is hilarious. So, yeah, there was an assassination attempt this week, but he beat it. Someone said, how do we get here? Just ride with us, because there's a reason. So, Ibrahim Traore. Oh, Cecilia, you said he's not your guy. That must have been a typo. You said okay. Cecilia said he is working for the people, and exactly what you said. I love leaders who are actually working for the people. He speaks to us and empowers us all. Club Yaya said he aight. You know, when the comparison is Donald Trump, he's more than aight. Okay? He's not my type either, but he tall. And the eyebrows, he fine. That's just, the ruling is that he's fine. Okay? Now, Burkina Faso has been very big on making sure that food sovereignty is at the center of their initiatives. And that is something that many countries have not been able to establish because of things like loans from the IMF, because of a continued destabilization by the United States. And I am very happy to report that Grenada Grenada has said that they also will be revitalizing agriculture, okay, and strengthening food security to remain top priorities for this government. But they have also stated that beyond food security, they are focusing on food sovereignty. Okay? I'm going to read the quote for you real quickly, so hold on 1 second. For too long, agriculture and foods. This is our Prime Minister, the Honorable Dickon Mitchell in Grenada. Okay? For too long, agriculture and food security has not been prioritized in our country. It has placed us in a vulnerable position. So it is important for us to emphasize and take the revitalization of the growth and significance of this undertaking as a priority for the country. Now, let me make something very clear here, okay? There's food security and then there is food sovereignty. So let's get into this segment that I am bringing into the mix now, because I was using it for something else, but now I'm using it for this. Let's talk about it. Hold on 1 second, so. Things I learned this week, yeah. Food security and food sovereignty. Oh. Food security, as defined by the World Food Summit in 1996, means that all people at all times have access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Meaning, if you're a vegetarian, if you're a vegan, so if you have specifics because of your diabetes, etc., that you could make sure that food security allows you to have the food. However, as Lexi Rosa points out here, it is a charity model that still leaves folks dependent, which is why I would like to encourage that Dickon Mitchell take it a step further, which I think is in the plan, a step further to focus on really establishing food sovereignty. Now, food sovereignty, as defined by La Via Campesina, which is an organization for peasants, says that it is the right of peoples to healthy and culturally appropriate food produced through ecologically sound and sustainable methods, and their right to define their own food and agriculture systems. Do we see the difference? Do we see the difference here? Food security is saying that everybody should have access to food. Food sovereignty is saying that we control our access to food. And that is an important difference. Okay? That is an important difference. Because when we have food security, we are saying we in charge. We don't have to worry about these other folks. We gonna make sure we have the food, man. We gonna make sure we have it. Because we have it here. And in Grenada, we are a nation that was grounded in agriculture. We have a flipping nutmeg on the flag. You know why? Because we are the second largest exporter of nutmeg after Indonesia. Yes. Grenada is called the Spice Isle because along with nutmeg, we also have mace and cinnamon. I mean, watch. Look at all the spices that Grenada is producing. You have turmeric, paprika, mace, ginger, cinnamon, curry, and then right here in the middle, you have your nutmeg. Grenada is a land, a small island with big ability to produce for the people. And food sovereignty is something that a lot of countries do not want to put in power because they're afraid that it is going to empower the people too much. If you keep the people needing to rely on the food from the government, then they're going to continue to need to empower the government. And the governments want to have all the power. Well, let me tell you something. Grenada, get growing, we? Grenada, get growing. I find Grenadians have the young people, the internet does just expand people's mind to want to be a part of the bigger world, and I understand that. But I hope we could come home. I hope we could come home and start to grow and really start to come back to the soil for multiple reasons. Not just coming back to the soil to create food sovereignty, but when we come back to the soil, it also is bringing us back to the earth. And when we come back to the earth, we come back to each other. You understand? We come back to each other. So I want to just bring that to y'all attention. Lodge up all Grenada massive. And other crops that we export are cocoa. We have big cocoa production in Grenada, chocolate in Grenada, and citrus fruits, bananas as well. So big up all Grenada massive. And for all of us out here, we understand that there's a great effort in the United States to limit the production of your own food. But we have to learn. We have to learn. Periphery Girl said, Diana G, how are we going to get our stealth gardens going and drone proof? I mean, it's true. How do you do it? Because they really be on some, I'm trying to not let y'all have your own food. I'm not trying to let y'all grow. But I'm here with Khamanig 2, which in Arabic would be Khamanig. I'm learning. We should all start to take food sovereignty serious, even maintaining little gardens wherever we live, especially with these tariffs. Yep. I'm definitely working on this. So 22 Superwoman says she know how to grow strawberries. Listen, okay, start somewhere. And Jera Oliver suggests this book, Touching the Earth by Bell Hooks. It's literally, it's 2 pages. It's not even a book. It's an essay. Touching the Earth by Bell Hooks. All right, we're going to get into that. Touching the Earth by Bell Hooks. Let me screenshot that. And we're going to end this conversation with this statement right here from Jessica. Making and growing your own food is one of the most revolutionary acts you can undertake. It's one of the most revolutionary acts you can undertake. So that's something that I am absolutely trying to figure out how to get into my life and learn. And I've been looking around for who can teach me how to do this. But it's something that I'm definitely trying to get into my consciousness. So big up all Grenada massive. And let me just remind you that the latest episode of Small Doses Podcast is out, Side Effects of Transparency. Let's check out a clip. Went on Club Shay Shay. I went in there with the mindset of I'm not here to convince people. And I've never done that on an interview because interviews always feel like they're marketing. You're selling something. If it's not a product, you're selling you. And because I had been told this is a safe space, you'll be able to just keep it a buck and tell your truth. I alleviated myself of that objective and said, I'm just going to be in here talking to this man and be myself. Now, what I didn't realize is that they were not transparent with me and that it was not going to be a safe space, that he actually had preconceived notions about me and that he is marketing himself and will forfeit you at all costs because he don't care what you think of him. He getting him money. So it didn't matter to him how he offended me or how he approached me. I said, I just feel like you're approaching me with a lot of hostility. They cut that out the interview. And he's like, I'm not being hostile. I mean, look at what you're doing right here. So check out Side Effects of Transparency wherever pods are casted. Remember, Small Doses Podcast is now completely independent. So you're listening and you're downloading and you're letting the ads play is a huge help to continuing to support me supporting my staff who puts together Small Doses Podcast. And remember, you can also check out the videos of Small Doses Podcast by subscribing to Patreon. Yes, joining the SEAL Squad gives you access to that. Something else that we've got going on at Patreon is our is our Passage Posse. The Passage Posse is a group of the SEAL Squad, and we basically get together and we talk about passages from books versus reading the whole book, because sometimes we don't have time to do that. But we'll talk about a passage from the book and how it affects us, how it inspires us, how it pisses us off, etc., etc. And this month, the book is Parable of the Sower. Parable of the Sower. So make sure to look out for the Passage Posse, which is going down only for paid subscribers on April 17th for $5. For the record, it is still helpful to subscribe even as a free subscriber, because I sometimes I post stuff there for the free subscribers, but also in the event that we have to jump ship from YouTube and only be on Patreon, you will already be there. All right. So that right there gives you a step ahead. So shout out to our SEAL Squad members. Remember, you can subscribe to the SEAL Squad. It's $5 a month, and you can, cancel at any time. But just know that is my income at this point in my life. The SEAL Squad. That's my income. So that is what pays for me bringing on somebody to help me with Views from Amandaland. That is what pays for the producer and editors for Small Doses Podcast. That is what continues to pay for the continued creation of new products for Amandaland exports, etc. So, and if you're wondering where my other money goes to my mom. My other money goes to charitable organizations, also to GoFundMe's. My other money goes to helping folks on a whim. There's a young man that a friend of mine learned is getting bullied and really having a difficult time at school. And there is great concern that he is undiagnosed autistic, but his mother could not afford to get him diagnosed. And so I put up the bread. However, then they were like, well, he's now on a waiting list. So just for the record, when people be like, Amanda, why won't you go get diagnosed? I don't need the resources. I don't need the resources for a medical diagnosis of being autistic. I already know that I am autistic, and I am able to do the research and work with my psychiatrist to manage that. I don't need those resources that very many people need. So why am I going to go take up a spot on a waiting list for somebody who actually does need those resources? No. Miss me. So that I can prove to these jackals out here in the internets? Absolutely not. The yes, the test waiting lists are wild. They'd be like a year. They'd be like a year long. And it's very difficult to get children the resources they need without getting these particular pieces of papers. And at this point in my life, I don't need the medical resources. The testing is thousands of dollars. Thousands. So, and here's Jessica, who said, my doc also advised against getting an official diagnosis as an adult. It's not worth it if you are to get the resources on your own. It's not, because ultimately it's also very stressful. It's very, very stressful because, particularly as a Black woman, you're trying to get someone to understand you that may not have the cultural context, the cultural competency to understand you. Are the podcasts in video form as well? So Small Doses Podcast is in video form. Yes. Small Doses Podcast is in video form, but you can only get it in video form when you subscribe to my Patreon. So someone just asked, what is the pin for this next drop? So that's a great question. So this month, the drop is going to be, I'm really proud of this drop because it's taking me down a new road, a new path. And I have really been trying to figure out kind of like where I want to land where I want to land, like my artwork venture, because it's hard to carry forth. But what I really want is to create something that can provide for me until death. That's what I'm literally about. And someone just asked, would I have a non-Black therapist? I don't have a Black therapist. Yeah, I don't have a Black therapist. My therapist is many shades. And then my therapist before that was a white woman, a blonde white woman. And she was fabulous. Fabulous. Because at the end of the day, you just need somebody who can see humanity. So, Cassie, you're out of pocket right now. They already have a case manager. That doesn't expedite the problems. The problems exist because the problems exist. The child has a case manager, the child has an advocate, all of that. The situation is what the situation is because that's what the situation is here in the United States. So this is the image that the pin is based on for the next drop. We will also have Mother's Day cards. So April 14th, my Mother's Day cards that I've designed will be available. And tomorrow I will show you all the images that the Mother's Day cards are based on. But the pin is this image right here. And this image represents love of all mothers, all the love for all the mamas. And I really just want to lean in to pins and paper goods. So that's what we're about to be doing. I want to be my own. I've said this before. I want to be my own Lisa Frank, pins and paper goods. So that can be gift bags. That can be notebooks. That can be notepads. That can be folders. That can be greeting cards. That can be postcards. That can be prints, etc. Stickers, coloring sheets. Yeah. So coloring books. So that is what I am working on. And yes, get your Pokemon on, Lexi. Gotta collect them all. And so it's coming together. It's coming together. And I thank all of you all for continuing to support and show love. So why is that Virgo? Because of the alliteration, pins and paper goods. So that is another episode. That right there is another episode of Views from Amandaland. Tomorrow, I'm excited about our guest. Tomorrow, we will have a representative from Proyecto Faro, Elizabeth Roberts. Proyecto Faro is a organization based in New York, in Rockland County, that works to inform and represent and protect the undocumented and immigrants here who are facing deportation and facing just the daily profiling of ICE. So looking forward to having that conversation tomorrow. And on Wednesday, we will have Kianta Dorsey, who she runs the Great Migration Archive. Sorry, she has the Great Migration Griot on Instagram that talks about the Great Migration here in the United States. There's a current documentary on PBS about the Great Migration. There's also Isabel Wilkerson's book, The Warmth of Other Suns, and she will be joining us to talk about the Great Migration. So looking forward to that. Someone just joined. Tim Toe asked, have I seen the Encampments movie? I have not seen it yet, but I'm working with Watermelon Pictures to put together a screening, and we are actually going to have Grant Minor, who is featured in the film, who was a Columbia student that recently got expelled for his work in the Encampments. He will be with us next Wednesday. So looking out for all of that. And we just really have some great stuff coming up, and I'm looking forward to it. Someone asked if I have an Etsy. I do not have an Etsy. I'm still building my business, and I'm building it small with you all. Now, did you know that even though I have on my page, when you go to my page, it says very clearly, all orders are shipped within 30 days. You can't even look at the page without seeing this image that very clearly states, okay? It very clearly states all orders are shipped within 30 days. It also says, I will not email Miss Seals about my order's arrival time unless the 30 days has lapsed. You know, I still got 2 emails. And by the way, when y'all are emailing about your orders, you're emailing me. So put some respect on me, please. Some of y'all be emailing me. I'm like, who? You know you're emailing me. Checking on my pen. Listen. Address me properly, please. You're emailing me. Where's my pen? I need my pen or a refund. Who the hell are you talking to, yo? Who is you talking to? I'm going to tell you who. Me. Thank you, Kismet J. We also watch you pack almost every night. Yes. You literally watch me make the items. You literally watch me add hair to the bookmarks. You watch me do it. You watch me sign the bookmarks. You watch me put stickers on the back of the notebooks. You watch me put the things in the packages. You watch me then print out the labels and put it on the packages. And thank you, Leah Mabry. It's not like you're selling insulin. People need to calm down. Thank you, Hot Skull. She said, I keep the envelopes. They are artwork also. You know, I didn't even realize that my mom has kept many of my envelopes because I am really about an envelope. So I just feel like people need to chill out and relax because it don't make no sense why you're not reading what's there. It'll make no sense. And just support the work. Thank you, Rand, because that's what they are. Do I need to write that? Do I need to like lean more into it? Like these are collector's items? Maybe I just need to lean more into it. Like, honestly, don't buy it if you don't like me. Like, don't buy it if you don't like me. That's how I feel. What do you mean it makes you wonder about my agenda? What my agenda is? My agenda is to make cool stuff for people who like cool stuff. That's my agenda. My agenda is to make Black art that inspires, that empowers, and that enriches. That's my agenda. So that's my agenda. But when people be emailing me, I'd be like, leave me alone. Oh. Yeah, I don't understand what their agenda is, why it's so urgent. It's a pen. I mean, I like that you're excited about it. I do. But like, no, she was asking something else. So she was saying something else. You know, sometimes the chat, it's like, sometimes y'all forget that I'm reading the chat, but I can't read your mind. Thank you, Lauren. I love the cards that come in the package so I can sneak them into coffee shops and spread the word. Yes, because in your package, you also get promo, you get a sticker. Come on, y'all. Gemma, you missed the last pin drop? Dang, and I left it up for a long time. I didn't close it till yesterday. I didn't close it till yesterday, but I'm about to go leave right now. I'm about to go drop these off to the post office and look out for next Monday, because that is when the cards will go on sale. So let's get into our PSA. We just be on here hanging out like I don't have anything else to do. For real. Amanda Land. PSA. So I saw this clip this weekend and I thought it was very interesting.
Real thing, like it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It scares the shit out of me. Because when I see something like that happen, you know, there's no.
Wait, I don't know if this music is copyright free. So basically what Joe Rogan was saying was that the existence of Israel as a country is about like killing and harming. Like that's the world that they live in. Like that's the world that they're raised in. Like that's the world that they're about. And he was like, you know, I can't imagine if we lived in that. We have been, we've been protected. And then I saw this clip. Stand by. So I really enjoyed that. But that boat was saying, Hail Trump, Sig Heil. And I'm like, Joe Rogan, we live in this. We're not protected. We live in this. This is where we are. We've been living in that. And we're only going to get in it further. The reality is that this is not a country that is absolved from being violent and living in war. We have continuously lived in war. That was his white privilege showing. But there's also the continued perpetuation of American exceptionalism. Nothing about this nation is exceptional, except its commitment to being lethal. And unless we really acknowledge that, unless we really point out the realities of this, we won't be able to effectually change it. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to talk about the changes that they are making to the Pentagon's, the changes the Pentagon has made to certain sites. Now, the changes that they are making to the national park site, and the efforts that they are doing to really erase the realities of Black and white elevation through resistance. So we're going to talk about that. Now, when you all come in here and you're like, didn't we cancel Joe Rogan? I am referencing Joe Rogan in a very particular instance. I don't do this whole, people are no longer on the planet. They are on the planet. And I'm very specifically mentioning what he was saying. So stay on course with my greater point, because the chat is falling into an energy that's not really helpful. And what I'm talking about is we have to continuously make it clear that while we point out what other countries are doing, we are always doing it. We are always doing it. No, it is not the same as Candace Owens, because Candace Owens weaponizes her Blackness against Black people. That is not the same thing. He a white man. He doing what I expect him to do. It's not the same. And what she's talking about against Gaza is not about protecting Palestinians. She is talking about not wanting Israel to be in power. It's not like she's saying there shouldn't be apartheid. And it's the same thing when we're looking at the protests and we're seeing people who are protesting their right to capitalism. There's levels to this. Okay? There's levels. So, remember, we have to always remember and be loud about it. Or else, we're just continuing the same lie. PSA. Hey, it's the end of the show. I thank y'all for always showing your love. Show your love. Show your love. Thank y'all for watching. Show your love. Remember to add a super and subscribe. We got to get the subscriber count back up, man. Subscribe. Shout out to everybody who dropped a super in the chat today. I appreciate you for showing love and supporting the show. And remember, you can always continue your support by going to Patreon. Thank you for folks who are just dropping in the chat right now. I appreciate that too. Better late than never. Today was a long show, but I've got to go. We'll be back right here tomorrow. Yes, that's right. Show your love. I'm really hungry, so I'm gonna go. I'm so hungry, y'all. Thank you to everybody. You all are great Amanda Landers. We are a force. And I'm having a meeting this week about the Amanda Land Summit. So look out for it coming soon. Okay? Look out for it coming soon. The Amanda Land Summit is in the works. I will see you tomorrow right here at Views from Amanda Land. It's time. Remember to lift up those who are suffering and those who are no longer suffering as we get into our 30 seconds of stillness. 30 seconds of stillness. I enjoyed laughing and learning with you. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And tell your friends. Also, listen to the podcast. It's available everywhere pods are casted. Listen ad-free by subscribing to Patreon Amanda Seals. Come on and join the Seals Squad. Views from Amanda Land. Live 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Wednesday, with content on Thursday and Friday at YouTube Amanda Seals TV.
Smart, funny, and